Whoa, look at that goat, man. That's a big goat. Yeah. Look at this one's just showing up with the camera, look. Okay, so I'm on CFMOTO MT650, which is a Chinese-made parallel twin 650 adventure bike. Loosely based, I would say, on something like the Kawasaki Versys 650. And we're riding up to Nagakot. And this time we got a bit more power compared to that 125 we were on, which is nice. So coming up this hill is nice and straightforward. Good suspension travel, good brakes. The 16 model, I think it is, so it's 2016 or 2017 model. So when this bike came out over here in Nepal, it was about 11 lakhs, which is, sounds like a lot, but it's actually quite reasonable. I mean, that's the same sort of price as a Duke 390 or something like that. So it's very competitively priced. And so far the quality actually seems pretty decent. It's got a KYB adjustable rear shock. The front forks seem pretty compliant. And again, they're adjustable for preload and I think rebound as well. Engine's putting out about 70 horsepower and about, I think it's about 49 foot-pounds of torque, which is pretty decent. I've actually got a passenger on the back with me now as well, so trying to give her a comfortable ride. But so far, this bike's actually handling it very well. The weight balance is really good, even with the passenger on the back, even though she is very small. It's still a lot of extra weight we have hanging off the back of the bike, but it doesn't really seem to affect it quite well, which is good. It's for an adventure bike, that's kind of what you want if you're going to carry your missus and that on the back, and lots of kit. It does have ABS front and rear as well. I've not had to use that yet, luckily. There's two riding modes on this. You've got sport mode and touring mode. At the moment I'm just in touring mode. I think that's mainly just for throttle response, so it just makes it a little less aggressive. I need to get over here and hope this bike stops. This is sketchy. Trying to stop on a really big hill with my brakes locked up. Hopefully we can pull away without sliding backwards. Nice. This way, isn't it? Yeah. So on this bumpy stuff, it actually does a pretty good job, the suspension. It's not too crashy. That's kind of the good thing about a heavier bike is, in some ways weight does kill the performance, but it does make things nice and planted, and it means it just irons out all these bumps really well. So it's super comfortable. Seat feels pretty nice. It kind of reminds me of a little bit like the Suzuki V-Strom 650, just in terms of its sort of balance. V-Strom's a V-twin, this is a parallel twin, so I think the V-Strom's maybe got a tiny bit more character engine-wise, but this certainly feels like it's got a bit more poke. It does feel like it's got a bit more power. But it does also feel a little bit heavier as well. But like I said, that's not necessarily a bad thing for a bike like this. I think we're going the right way. I guess we'll soon find out. I haven't got dirt tyres on this at the moment, so it is just, I think it's just like a Metzeler sports touring tyre on the front at the moment. Just fine, as long as we don't give it too much angle on the dirt, we'll be alright. We've just got a little bit of this rough stuff to go, and then the road gets a little bit nicer again, so I'm not too worried, but when it gets wet and slippery like this, it does make my bottom clench a little bit, especially with a passenger on the back. So yeah, there's been a tax duty increase in the last year or so on these, on all bikes in Nepal, unfortunately. So this used to be about 11 lakhs. Now if you were to buy one, it's closer to 18. And suddenly, suddenly, that's quite a big jump. But even so, that's still pretty good value considering, you know, if you were to import a Japanese Kawasaki or something like that over here, it would cost you double that, at least double. So this bike's actually had a fair amount of use. I mean, mileage wise, can't really see on here at the moment, but I know the guy who's been using this for about a year and a half, 2 years I think, and it feels solid. Usually you get a new bike over here that's been used for more than a year or so, it's just starting to fall apart. But this feels, yeah, it feels solid. How it will fare through British winters, not too sure. Not sure if we're going to get this in the UK, to be fair. I think it'd be interesting if they did. But for the moment, I think CFMOTO is keeping its motorbikes mainly for the Asian market. Which is a pity, I think. It's like, why should Asia get all the nice cheap bikes? Oh, shut up. Yeah, I want to get past 2, but I'm not going to get all fucking pissy about it. Really? Hope this guy gets out of my way. Right, hang on a sec, alright? Just hang on tight. I shouldn't really be doing jumps with a passenger on the back, but it is quite fun. Throttle response is really nice. I'm not going to bother putting it in sport mode because that's just going to be probably a little bit too aggressive, I think, really, for these sort of roads. Touring seems fine. You can give it a good fistful, and it seems pretty smooth. Fuel injection seems pretty good when you're bimbling along at like a few thousand revs. It's not all snatchy and lurchy. It's pretty smooth, so it's easy to modulate the throttle. All the controls generally feels quite light, actually. The clutch is light, brakes are sharp but not overly sharp, to the point where, again, you can grab them in a panic and it's not going to send you flying over the handlebars. But they certainly do pull up, you know, they're really progressive. When you do squeeze them, you actually get a pretty decent amount of feel through them for an adventure bike, because usually with these sort of bikes the front end always feels a little bit dead, you know? You feel a bit detached from what the front wheel's doing. But with this I feel pretty confident. I feel like I can stick the front end into the corner and it's just going to grip and go. This is pretty round this part. Still got to be careful of trucks coming down this hill and other vehicles. Oop, ABS cutting in better. Rear does feel a little bit soft. I'd probably maybe tighten that up a little bit. That's probably because we haven't adjusted the preload there and I have got a passenger, so that's fair enough. Bit of a dive when you on the transition when you flick from left to right, but I guess you get used to that. It's quite predictable, but that's the thing when you have long suspension travel, you do get that little bit of dive. Also the weight transfer, because it is quite a heavy bike. The wet weight of this is just over 200 kilos, so dry weight probably about 185, something like that, which yeah, is probably about right for a bike like this. Turns well. A little bit bouncy, but ultimately for just cruising it's great. But yeah, certainly when you do start pushing on a little bit through the corners on these bumpy roads, you do feel a little bit of a bounce as the weight transfers itself. But that's kind of understandable really. But that being said, it's a lot of fun actually for a parallel twin. It's quite eager actually, and actually the engine's actually got a bit of character to it, which is nice. I always find parallel twins usually a little bit dull. Here we are at the top. Wow, look at those views, sort of awesome. Whoa, is that ice? Is that ice? I think that's ice. Checking me out. Okay, so we're going to go to this little hotel down here called Hotel Mystic Mountain. Hopefully it lives up to its name. I hope that's not it there. Wow, it's so pretty. That quite relaxing actually on these little trails. It's a pretty comfy bike to ride this. Get the impression I could do a lot of serious mileage in this with no real problems. Look. Hold on. Hold on tight. Oh wow, that looks rather posh. I guess we can park down here. Hello. Up the top, huh? Okay. This must be pretty new, this place. It's really, I said this place must be pretty new. Looks really nice. I guess we can park over here maybe? Down here, I guess. Ah, there we are. Nice. Let's go get some food. Adjustable screen, projector headlights. Yeah, it's quite pretty. It reminds me a little bit of a Honda NC700, but possibly nicer looking. Alright, let's hit the road. really like this bike. And again, the fact that this is about 1.5 years old, this model, and it's had a lot of miles put on it, and it feels absolutely solid, feels like a new bike. So looks like China is even making their bikes well these days. You know, people always talk about Chinese bikes just being just cheap knockoffs of everything else, really, and you know, even I'm guilty of that, to be fair, saying that, you know, sometimes they look good on the outside but deep down they're just cheap copies, really. But to be fair, it's only going to be a matter of time before China's making bikes just as good as everybody else. And to be honest, it's not like even the Japanese these days. You know, I've seen some Japanese bikes where the quality is just shocking. So if they're not careful, China is just soon going to become one of the biggest bike manufacturers on the planet, I think. And everyone else, like from Europe and Japan, is going to have to be careful, I think, because if they keep churning out bikes like this, quality products with decent equipment at really competitive prices, then yeah, I think fair enough. I think brand loyalty only goes so far when you can get a bike like this, which gives you so much for your money, compared to an Italian or even a Japanese bike. So you know, I've ridden a fair amount of Chinese bikes, but I have to say this is certainly the most substantial Chinese bike I've ridden, and I'm impressed. So yes, China, more like this please, that'd be nice. And if you can chuck in a few nice sport bikes in there for a good price, that'd be even better. Thank you very much. Just let these crazy doggos finish their fight. Seems to make pretty good power all the way through the rev range, but most of the power seems to be quite sort of mid to low, which is kind of where you want it really on an adventure bike. Does feel maybe a little bit front heavy, but not to the point where it's a detriment actually. And when you're just cruising along, I think it actually kind of helps just flatten all the bumps out quite well. But generally it feels pretty well balanced. Again, I have got a passenger, but you know, the only thing I noticed is sort of going through those corners, the rear does feel a little bit spongy, but that's just because we haven't really adjusted the shock. I'm sure once you adjusted the rebound, that would probably sort a lot of that out. Not the rebound, sorry, preload. Okay, let's head into back to 4. Let's see what it's like filtering through these crazy little roads. Suspension does a really good job. Can we get through here? Yes. Throttle response is nice and easy. It's not hard work at all. It's actually really easy to ride at really slow crawling speeds. Clutch is nice and light. I've got a feeling it might be blocked down here. Yeah, it is. Goat posing for the camera, look. A goat posing for the camera. We're going to have to turn around, I can't go that way. Whoa, look at that goat, man. That's a big goat. Yeah. Look at this one's just showing up with the camera, look. I'm going to go this way, I think. Bit of a squeeze. Take some little back roads. Running at a steady 94 degrees. No problems overheating. We've been sat in traffic quite a while as well, so cooling system seems to work pretty good. Wait for this chap. Alright, so a bit of a detour. I think that's just the centre stand underneath rattling around a little bit. I don't think there's anything to worry about. No fuel cut.